On December 1st, 1994, the American cable channel GSN, or Game Show Network, was launched in the United States. The network had secured the rights to over 40,000 episodes of several game shows from production companies and its parent organisation, which at the time happened to be Sony. GSN evolved to be the hub for old and new game shows and even launched an on-demand service in 2013. If you wanted game shows, GSN would be the place to go. In a list of 2020 Nielsen ratings, the viewership of GSN during prime time had gone up 6% from the 2019 average to around 432,000 viewers, about the same population as Minneapolis, Minnesota. A similar thing happened here in the UK, where the Family Channel was launched in 1993. This was the same channel as its American counterpart, launched in the States during the late 80s and the early 90s. In 1996, however, its owner, International Family Entertainment, sold its majority stake to Flextech, who then in 2007 became Virgin Media Television and very briefly the Living TV Group. After the sale of the Family Channel to Flextech on the 3rd of February 1997, as Flextech had now owned the channel, it rebranded itself to Challenge TV, devoting the majority of its lineup to game shows. The channel was a prime-time block from 5 PM to half past midnight, with the overnight hours, half past midnight to 6 AM, branded as Family Late, which continued to air its previous entertainment programming as it did on the Family Channel. Challenge TV was only available in the evenings, as it shared a slot with the Children's Channel and, for a short period of time, TV Travel Shop during the day. At the end of 1998, the Family Late segment ended, and a year later, TV Travel Shop had moved to another channel. This led to Challenge TV being able to broadcast for 24 hours a day. It was the British equivalent of GSN. You had game shows galore, you had a large variety of many types of game show from both sides of the Atlantic, and what's even better was that Challenge TV was, and still is, a free-to-air channel in the UK. GSN in the USA is not. You need to pay for a satellite or cable subscription in order to access the channel. Challenge even had their own game shows and spin-offs at many stages of its lifespan. It revived Fort Boyard in 2003, Bullseye in 2006, The Pyramid Game in 2007, and Blockbusters in 2012, to name a few. You would think that Challenge has a wide variety of game shows. It has a different game show every hour of the day and includes trivia and quiz shows such as Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and also shows based around luck, such as Deal or No Deal, and shows that incorporate physical abilities such as The Crystal Maze. But if you look on the electronic programming guide for Challenge today, you'll find that it's never changing. You're stuck with Season 1 of Deal or No Deal, a few hours of Wheel of Fortune, Bullseye for a long period in the night, Pointless at 5 PM, where you can watch a newer episode at the exact same time on BBC One, and most annoyingly, The Chase, sometimes for even 12 hours or more. What happened to Challenge TV? Why did it start as a channel full of promise, with a wide variety of shows, revivals, and shows that were independently made, to a repeating mess of The Chase and a sudden lack of variety? What happened to Challenge TV? When I was growing up, my family didn't have Sky, NTL, Freeview, or even Analog. Our house had one of these. Now, if you're born after 1998, you probably don't know what one of these is, but this was called a General Instrument analog cable box, and we had this because we couldn't afford satellite, and the digital cable network hadn't launched in our area at the time, and Freeview hadn't even existed at this point. Where Sky Digital on the satellite got you around 300 channels, NTL got you about 150, Freeview would then get you 60, analog cable got you around 40. Back then, Challenge TV was only available on satellite. It was launched on NTL between 2004 and 2006. My first memories of Challenge TV was either seeing it at my grandparents' house or at friends' houses, where I remember the first shows watching were The Crystal Maze, Wheel of Fortune, 15 to 1, and Takeshi's Castle. We then moved house in 2007, and then we managed to upgrade to a digital cable box, now ran by Virgin Media, and now Challenge at this point had been operated by Virgin Media Television. This, in my opinion, was the start of the peak for Challenge TV. Despite it having a hideous logo, this was where different shows would appear every hour, and on a regular basis too. You had a Best of British part that only included British game shows, Tea Time Takedown, Monday Night Comedy that had shows such as Shooting Stars, Room 101 and 8 out of 10 Cats. I should also stress that Challenge TV at this point also started to create their own content and not just revivals of other shows. Shows such as It's Not What You Know featuring Chris Tarrant and Take It or Leave It featuring Richard Arnold. They also created shows such as Auntie Smalls, which was filler content that never took longer than 10 minutes per episode, and Les Dennis's Home Video Heroes, with Family Fortunes host Les Dennis and later discovered paedophile Stuart Hall. Shows like this broke the cycle of game show repeats, but also provided an acceptable level of tolerance for other things that weren't game shows. The channel never truly promoted these, and thus kept their airtime to an absolute minimum. Everything had gone well. Challenge TV was an entertaining game show channel. It was truly a success story. The Living TV group, which had owned Challenge TV at the time, along with other channels, had been sold to B Sky B in 2010. At this point, things were still going really well for Challenge TV. But they wouldn't be for long. Challenge TV finally got its Freeview channel in 2011. 2011 was also a year after the sale of the Living TV group. This is when I personally see the beginning of the decline for Challenge TV. At this point you could clearly see the promos for the Sky-owned channels, and a lot of the filler content and advertising was visible for Sky Movies and Sky Sports. This is where you'd normally see that brief episode of Auntie Smalls. But my theory is that they were most likely being ordered by B Sky B to show the marketing for the other B Sky B channels and programmes that were on at the time, as opposed to that short episode of Auntie Smalls. This was also the point where wrestling was featured on Challenge TV for the very first time, and other things that weren't game shows, such as the British Academy Video Games Awards, which weren't game shows or anything close. A lot like how the History Channel now focuses less on the First World War and more on things such as aliens and porn stars, which, as you could see, were not history or anything close. Does that sound familiar? Well, that's because Challenge TV and the History Channel were both owned by Sky. At this point, it was obvious that Challenge TV was slowly drifting away from its original purpose of game shows by including more and more shows that were either not game shows at all and included filler content that wasn't even light entertainment. For example, the Top 10 show that showed the top 10 movies at the box office. The majority of the content on Challenge TV was still game shows, but wrestling, World's Strongest Man, Football Freestylers, which was a Sky Sports spin-off, Gadget Geeks, Celebrity Darts tournaments, and around 2 hours of teleshopping a day had dominated much more. And if you wanted to see Family Fortunes, or even Gladiators, this was still your place to go. For now, anyway. A major rebrand in 2013, with a lot of the sister channels owned by Sky, it sparked a bit of life back into Challenge. It had a new identity with characters that had personality. They had names. You had them making sound effects. It gave the channel some desperate life again. For me, this period was a brief rise, just after the decline from 2011. It still promoted content that was on a Monday night, for example, but the unrelated content, such as wrestling and Video Game Nation, was starting to fade out. You still had content that showed trailers for upcoming movies on Sky, but they kept it brief and devoted the majority of the content to game shows again. It was even during this time that they managed to secure the rights to the first season of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. But sadly, a lot of the shows that are on Challenge had been purged from 2015 onwards. The mass-produced shows that had stopped showing on Challenge completely in 2015 alone were Defectors, Fort Boyard, House of Games, It's Not What You Know, 1 vs 100, 3-2-1, Celebrity Squares, Clever Dicks, Dirty Money, Distraction, Ducks Quacks Don't Echo, Interceptor, Killer Karaoke, Millionaire Hot Seat, Treasure Hunt, and Whittle. These shows have not been seen on Challenge TV since, but the year after, there was another rebrand. The 2013 rebrand gave Challenge TV life after its decline a few years before. However, this period in time had removed the golden game shows towards the end of 2015 and 2016, but this new rebrand surely would mean that a lot of the old favourites and originality of shows would come back again. Right? The 2016 rebrand ditched the characters that had given the channel brief personality. However, now a lot of people had realised with the amount of Sky content on its channel, and considering there were other channels that were known as Sky Living, Sky Atlantic, Sky Witness, and Sky Crime, some Challenge viewers were starting to call Challenge Sky Challenge, even though the brand name hadn't changed at all. But the wrestling, video games, and football content had been completely eradicated. It was as close as it could possibly get to a game show channel for a number of years. The idents on the channel had included references to game shows, and so did the break bumpers. But don't let that deceive you. The bumpers and idents reference game shows that were on Challenge from 2016 when the rebrand had taken effect. However, as time marched on, most of those referenced shows were no longer on the channel. If you fast forward to 2021, the Challenge TV Twitter had been inactive since New Year's Eve 2020, and their cover photo still congratulates them on being 21, which now at the time of upload, Challenge is now 27 years old. You would expect that if the show is depicted in its branding, it will be on the channel. As of 2021, there were references to Ninja Warrior, Total Wipeout, Robot Wars, and Countdown on some of its idents. Those shows are not on Challenge. Break bumpers show references to Funhouse, Blockbusters, 15-1, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and Robot Wars. Again, those shows are no longer on Challenge. There has been the same clip of Idris Elba promoting Sky VIP before and after every ad break since 2020. It's repetitive to a point where there are no promotions, there's no marathons or reason for people to tune in, because there's no such thing as the Monday night slot anymore. There is marketing for weeknights on Challenge, but that happens 5 days a week. They had removed Who Wants to Be a Millionaire from the channel as recently as 6 weeks ago. The show had 30 series hosted by Chris Tarrant, and since then I had started a very weak but consistent Twitter campaign to #BringBackMillionaire repeats. But starting that campaign led me to investigate how bad and repetitive Challenge really was. A show that had appeared to be the new star of Challenge TV was The Chase. I'll be honest, I like The Chase, and I like Bradley Walsh. My favourite chaser is The Governess. But I don't like the fact that if you tune into Challenge TV in the morning, you'll find The Chase. If you tune into Challenge TV in the early evening, you'll find The Chase. If you tune into Challenge TV in the prime time slot, you'll find The Chase. And if you're up really late in the night and stumble to the remote, and if you happen to tune into Challenge TV at
3:28 a.m,
you'll find The Chase. And the creme de la creme, for the week starting the 16th of August 2021, I looked at the weekly schedule for Challenge TV and I compiled the data for every show, when it was on and how long it was on for, and I came back with this. There are 168 hours of possible programming time during a week. 85 of those hours is The Chase alone. That's more than 50% of the schedule. What's more insulting is that this was exactly the same schedule the week before. And the week before that. And the week before that. I just don't know why Challenge are doing this. It's repetitive. It's causing the loyal fan base to ditch the channel just to find the shows that they want to see on YouTube instead. And if people aren't tuned in, they're not going to be able to see the advertising that you've put on at ad breaks. You're losing the very people you intended to market to. And because of that, you're no longer the home of game shows, and quite frankly, you don't deserve to be. Oh dear, just when you thought Challenge TV were getting better because you hadn't heard anything from me for a while, everything has all gone bad again. Well, I'm very thankful that 8,500 people have watched my documentary so far, and it's refreshing to hear that a lot of people share the same opinion and observation as I do. But honestly, what is going on? Challenge TV have not taken any of the advice on board. They haven't updated their Twitter. People are starting to see the ruse behind Challenge TV, that they're not employing game shows or anything that's slightly considered variety. They are incredibly lazy, and they wished a dead man a happy birthday. Yeah, this was an unknown. They didn't delete the tweet, and it spread to national news. Okay, where do I start? Well, we can go just before the documentary was initially published and go to when COVID was still quite rife. So everybody was at home, and because everybody was at home, everybody got bored. And because everybody got bored, everybody decides to watch game shows to take their mind off everything. So, because of that, this would have been Challenge TV's ideal time to put on great content. Because, let's face it, they never have, and they probably never will get this many viewers again. But instead of doing that, they put on stuff like this.
Northern Ireland versus Slovakia. Live Euro 2020 football now on Challenge.
It's not rocket science to come up with the fact that it wasn't a game show and it was a national one-off event, but it's not where it belongs. Luckily, a YouTuber called Adam Martin directed me to this valuable tool so I could see all the viewing figures for every channel in Great Britain. As we can see, Challenge TV has a monthly reach of around 4 million people, and on average, per day, the channel is viewed for only 49 seconds. That's right, Challenge TV is only viewed for, on average, 49 seconds. They find out it's The Chase and then they go away. Probably.
For the first time on UK TV, we have a top prize.
As recently as 2022, Challenge TV have put on a new marketing campaign to say they got the rights to the first series of Millionaire. Keep in mind, this video was uploaded in 2015 and it clearly has the new to Challenge in the top left hand corner. Challenge, you're not fooling anyone. I know you're not fooling anyone because I did a whole video about it before, so wise up. My second point is that there's no more original content. I mean, take this old footage of Kevin from Blue's Clues, for example, bless his little cotton socks. This is before he gained his big break in children's TV and decided to do stints on Challenge. Now, it's original. There is original content you're not going to find anywhere else. Just things that I've missed. I mean, because of that, there is no more investment in the channel. It doesn't necessarily have to be financial investment, just someone doing something. I mean, for God's sake, don't have a pre-made announcement. Actually have someone there taking control. Do something. Make a schedule that's completely different every once in a while. We want less of the same. We want difference. Which brings me comfortably onto my third point. We want lots of shows. We want a bit of everything. We don't want a lot of the same. I mean, where is the variety? Embrace the variety. I said this before. Next, we don't want irrelevant shows on the channel. I mean, this is some old footage from 2006, and this is roller derby. Not relevant. However, it's part of the Tea Time Takedown, so for this reason, I'm prepared to give it a free pass, because it is involving a subgenre of the show, so I'm willing to let this one slide. However, what I'm not willing to let slide is Miss World 2006. This is something they broadcasted at the time, and I just thought, no, sorry, you're not getting away with that. But once in a blue moon, nothing else since then. However, there has been football, wrestling, you name it, it's probably been on there. There's probably been pornography at one point, it wouldn't surprise me. Honestly, Law and Order, what the f*** is this bull? And lastly, it's The Chase. It's all the time. It's still there. You know that picture I showed you earlier with the schedule? Yeah, here's the rest of it. See what I mean? I'm not going to go down that road because I've made a whole documentary about my feelings on Challenge TV as a whole. So people who watch the channel and those who do not watch the channel are fully aware that Challenge TV is dead. So it was time for me to wish my condolences. So I've got it with sympathies. Sorry for your loss, and it's a cheap Asda card because, you know, their quality is so bad. They deserve the lowest of the low. So because of Challenge TV, I drove all the way to London to give them flowers and a card. I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm actually driving to London just to give flowers and a card, but no, I'm not an appointment or anything. It's just dropping something off. Sure, yeah, it's just some flowers. It's just a little card and some flowers for that. Is there anyone who I can give it to?
So which particular, have you got any contact number or anything?
No, it's literally just for whoever's for Challenge TV. I don't know who's running it, but they just still think that Dale Winton's still alive.
TV show or
No, it's the channel.
channel?
That arc of Challenge. You know the game show one?
Game show.
Challenge. You know the channel, the Challenge TV with the chase and, well, just that really. It just, well, it's the game show channel.
If there's a game show channel like that, it's only on ITV.
No, it's Challenge is here. So there we go. Just because a game show channel wouldn't put game shows on its game show channel anymore, I decided to drive out all the way to London to this to drop off card and flowers. This is what was in the card. Well, that was what was in the card, but you know this video isn't over. Interesting fact for you, first time Mrs. Pomerack and I met is when I went to Challenge headquarters in London. So the original 2 parts of the original documentary were uploaded, and of course so much has changed between then and now. I have moved out into my own place, I have stopped watching television altogether, and quite honestly I've done so many more projects in between everything. And I revisited this subject and I had a look at some forum articles, and I also had a look at Twitter, sorry, X, many years later to see what has changed. And I had a look, and opinion online wasn't too different than what it was then. Lost hope in this channel, social media inactive, website gone, plus 1 channel gone on Monday, the same shows being on, different shows being replaced for reruns of the same shows, the list goes on. Challenge TV when ITV syndicated their afternoon quiz show, we welcomed The Chase. I'm surprised and disappointed at myself how I forgot about this dude on the first time round.
The name's Mark. Question mark.
Why is it they made hundreds of episodes of Deal or No Deal, but you keep showing the first 20 episodes of the first series over and over again? But if we leave modern social media for a second, let's go to some old forums, and this post pretty much summed it up very well. Whatever happened to the good old days of Challenge TV? Between 1997 and 1999, it was a damn good channel. It was on from 5 PM until 12:30 AM when Family Late took over. But the main point being that Challenge used to show some damn good quiz shows with the excellent in-vision continuity in between from Andy Crane, Kevin Douala, Khalil Valley, Yvette Fielding, Question Mark and co. In the old days, they used to rely heavily on some excellent classic ITV quiz shows such as Blockbusters, Old Family Fortunes, Crosswits, The Krypton Factor, Catchphrase, and Anything Brilliant. For a bit, they even showed things like Whittle with the excellent Tim Vine, and Move On Up, another show from Channel 5. The channel wasn't that bad. Then in 1999 they completely changed the format and dropped prize time for the games room, which was crap, and the ratings dropped, and it had gone by the end of the year. But they started getting good again by showing things like The Crystal Maze and Treasure Hunt, and bringing in Toby Anstis was a good idea too. But then they rebranded last year, though the last time I watched the channel properly was when they had their Christmas cult selection last year, which really is the point of Challenge. Though I do strongly agree that Takeshi's Castle is getting a complete overkill on Challenge, though don't get me wrong, it does well for Challenge and people like it, but it is being shown far too much, not giving enough space for other shows. The channel has gone down the pan a bit, though Takeshi's Castle on Trouble Something like that would be more suitable for FTN in my opinion. Do you know what year this article was written? 2003. 2003. The Iraq War was in full swing. Richard Whiteley was still alive. Dial-up internet was still a thing. The major fraud court case had just been decided. And this song was the buzz. Challenge, you're a good channel and you've got people who like what you do, but you're slowly dying and everyone around is just ready to desert you. There is a solution to your mess. Embrace variety instead of focusing your programming onto so few shows. How about broadcasting the game shows that were successful back in the day and still have recognition in the present day? Even ones with a cult following, such as Countdown, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, 15 to 1, Weakest Link. Proper scheduling. Have a different show every few hours of the day so that the EPG doesn't look bland and the same as it did last week. Promote your promotions. You want to get the viewers, right? Why not start a Saturday showdown that includes a lot of physical-based games such as Fort Boyard, Gladiators, The Crystal Maze, and even Takeshi's Castle? Walsh Wednesdays, Bradley Walsh presenting The Chase and the Wheel of Fortune from 12 till 2 on a Wednesday, for example. I don't know, that was just a suggestion. And finally, actually host game shows. You pride yourself on being the home of game shows, so show it. You're not the place to show a UEFA 2020 qualifying match, which you actually did. If the vault of game shows is being exhausted, why not import game shows from abroad? I mean, you did it with Millionaire Hot Seat that came from Australia, and Killer Karaoke that came from the United States. One of my personal favourites at the moment is What's My Line from the USA, and I'm pretty sure there are lots of other shows that are from other countries that people in Britain just don't get to watch because of the lack of opportunity. So, there are your options. I don't know what decision you'll make, and I don't know which direction you'll go in, but I just hope it's the right choice. Thanks for watching.